actually sitting up the back there. I got so mesmerised by those last two pieces that I forgot to read to read. So thank you, Post, for that lovely work. From the bridge, the river moves slow and lazy like a brown snake, head flat to the mud, black eyes, tasting the world as it goes. Maya watches and wonders how simple water can look so venomous. Back at the house, Maya can hear her aunt on the telephone talking to her mother. Her mother has her sympathy voice on, hot down the line like the sun outside. Oh, Maya, it says that voice, oh, honey. Like there's something in there blaming her, some sharp little blade to the pity. She brings it on herself. In trouble at school, and oh, Maya. Much money stolen, and oh, Maya. Like, oh, Maya, when you going to learn? I don't know, her aunt says, her back to Maya, and one hand twining the cord. He's just disappearing again. Oh, honey, comes her mother's voice. Maya slips behind her and hides upstairs. She can hear from her bedroom when her aunt has headed outside, the rattle of the dog chain, the shed opening, being forced open, the runners broke and it going with the sound of bare tin on concrete just about yelling aloud. Her aunt singing, deep-voiced and throaty, Holy Moses, something, something, don't you forsake me. Lying on her bed, the sun strong through the bare window, Maya listens and thinks of her mother singing and washing dishes. How she sings when no one's listening. The woman of her family, singing alone. We always sing, Maya thinks, when we're sad. Maya closes her eyes and the sun hot and red through her eyelids. She listens for the feed buckets and the paddock gate, the sounds that say her aunt has gone to feed the horses. And when they fade, for the rattle of the cattle grid, the barking of the dog that says her uncle is home, back from disappearing to wherever it is he goes. Listens and lets the afternoon fade around her. Her uncle brings her treats, sneaking them to her when her aunt isn't watching, sitting at the table after dinner with her holiday homework, slipping a little packet of chocolate Rolos so she can suck on the caramel while her aunt cleans up. Every time he smiles and winks and Maya grins. Too smart for an old man like me, he says, all those numbers. Maya has to smother her smile so her aunt won't notice the mouthful of chocolate, won't find the packet hidden in her skirt. Don't you distract the girl, her aunt calls from the kitchen, just you leave her to work. And her uncle winks again and disappears, this time to the lounge room to recharge his batteries in front of the TV, his own time, and leaves Maya to puzzle over the multiplication of fractions and how a man can disappear when he still makes it home for dinner. Should I keep going or stop?
Sure, you can go.
Her aunt wakes her early the next morning, gently presses weight to Maya's shoulder so she wakes with a sensation of unevenness, like one half of her body has come up to the surface before the other. Her aunt nods when she blinks and stretches. Good girl, she says, come on now. Her aunt pads out again. They are drenching the sheep, Maya remembers, starting early before the heat gets its legs on. As she thinks of it, she becomes conscious of the faint noise from the yards, her uncle calling to the dogs, the murmuring of the sheep. And so Maya nods and drags herself from the sheets and pulls on yesterday's clothes from the floor. Her aunt hands her a piece of toast as she wanders through the kitchen. Don't forget your hat, she calls after her, going to be warm down there. At the yards, her uncle is wearing the drenched gun with the backpack bending him double, straddling each ewe and shoving it down their throats. Maya watches for a moment before she joins him, each ewe in rhythm, pulling their head up to stretch the soft gullet and the metal gun down the side of the mouth, clicking on the teeth. Pump and hold and release, and then her uncle tags the ewe with red paint and pushes her on. He has a bandana over his mouth and nose, like a cowboy or a bushranger. Paint sticks are in the shed, he calls. Use the blue and I'll know you've done it, eh? Maya nods. The drenched pack is waiting for her, leaning against the tin. There is a little bag of sweeties sat on top and she smiles. She heaves the pack over her shoulders and it catches on the paint stick in her pocket. Blue paint leaks out to tag the front of her dress. Maya watches as it spreads in a strain across one leg, unwraps one of the lollies and sucks on it contemplatively. Come on, girlie, her uncle calls. Plenty more after this lot. Maya climbs the fence into the yards opposite her uncle and grabs the first ewe by the fleece. She straddles her, legs tighten the crush of sheep and pulls at her throat. Sorry, girlie, she wants to say. Race into the middle, her uncle calls, the challenge muffled beneath his bandana. Sorry, girl, Maya whispers and releases her ewe. Blue paint down her back and they're matching.